NBCnews.com gives us this story. A police chief in Pennsylvania who threatened a private citizen with felony charges in retaliation for critical Facebook comments has agreed to plead guilty to a charge of deprivation of civil rights, federal prosecutors have said.
Good afternoon, Mark. Some late-breaking developments in this case. We're told Brian Buglio has indeed resigned as police chief here in West Hazleton. More on that in a moment. Now, federal authorities say he threatened to arrest a man because and unless he stopped posting negative comments about Buglio and the department on social media.
The critical social media post prompted a meeting between Buglio and the private citizen at the West Hazleton Police Department on March 4th of 2020, court records say. And during that meeting, Brian Buglio, acting under color of law, threatened to pursue felony criminal charges against individual number one in retaliation for individual number one's social media posts on Facebook and to stifle individual number one's exercise of free speech.
Federal prosecutors allege that West Hazleton Police Chief Brian Buglio used his position of authority to violate the free speech rights of a person who was critical of Buglio on Facebook. According to federal court documents obtained by the I-Team, the incident began in February of 2020. That's when an unnamed individual posted negative comments about Buglio and the West Hazleton Police Department on Facebook. According to those court documents, on March 4th of that same year, Chief Buglio met with the individual at the West Hazleton Police Department at Buglio's direction. At that meeting, federal investigators say Buglio threatened to file a felony charge against the individual unless he halted his criticism on Facebook. The individual agreed to stop the posts, and according to court documents, Buglio and the person even shook hands to finalize the deal. Buglio admitted at that meeting that the threatened federal charge lacked merit.
The case was investigated by the Scranton Federal Bureau of Investigation's Public Corruption Task Force. The task force is comprised of members with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office, and agents with the FBI and IRS.
He also spoke with Denny Lehman, a lifelong resident of West Hazleton, who operates a vehicle repair shop a block from the police department.
I really don't know what to say about that because I always liked the guy. I thought he did a good job. I mean, I don't know what the reason for it is, or I didn't hear nothing about it. I mean, but I'll be sorry to see him go.
Victim number one was identified by the NBC affiliate WNEP-TV in Scranton as Paul DeLorenzo of East Stroudsburg. DeLorenzo, who could not be reached for comment on Tuesday, told the news outlet, "I said to Brian, why are you doing this?" He goes, "Well, you like to post fake things and fake stories about me, so I can make up fake arrest and put you in jail."
The I-Team spoke with Paul DeLorenzo. He says he's the person Buglio threatened.
I think he should lose his job in law enforcement, never have any job in law enforcement. And if there's anyone else out there that had the same situation where you better shut your mouth or you're going to jail, please come forward.
West Hazleton Police have 4 full-time and 4 part-time officers, according to the department's website. Buglio has worked for the department since 1996.
Now, West Hazleton Borough Solicitor Chris Slusser does confirm with the I-Team that Buglio did resign from office here, and that was required as part of his plea agreement with federal authorities. Now, Buglio faces up to 1 year in prison and $100,000 in fines, again, as part of the sentencing, which will take place later this year. Reporting live for the I-Team in West Hazleton, Andy Mahalchik, 2822 Eyewitness News. Mark, back to you.
All right, Andy, thank you.
So if the police chief is like this, you have to ask, what are the officers like? You know what I mean? Because it all rolls downhill. So if the police chief is saying, I'll just make up some fake charges and put you in jail and then you'll stop talking about me, I wonder what the officers are like. They probably don't have any cop watchers in that town because they'd all be locked up. Because there are some law enforcement officers that do that. They trump up charges simply because you're recording them. Yeah, we got one right here in Yucaipa, California like that. Yeah, trumps up charges just because, well, stop recording me. And here's a guy who is making Facebook posts, so social media, recording cops, Facebook. And this police chief says, I'll just trump up a charge. I don't know, we'll think of something. Anybody in or around Hazleton, Pennsylvania, What are their police officers like? Let us know. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos. That's law enforcement officers to include the chiefs that lie from coast to coast.